And he also, I just found out, wrote the movie I, Robot and the story.
Yeah.
So he was the original author of I, Robot. It was originally a comic for EC Comics back in like the 50s and 60s, or mainly 50s for EC. They were the originators of like Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that. Like they did all the original comics for that stuff. And he wrote
that show.
Yeah, it's so good. And the original comic books are probably the best comics in the world. There's
cool.
Yeah, they're my favorite as far as like not only visually but just like they're all what are called O. Henry stories. You know what O. Henry stories are? Like there's a MacGuffin at the end of each story, so they're very Twilight Zone is the best example.
Okay, so it's always wrapped up in
there's a big twist, but then there's the O. Henry moment where that twist gets twisted more, and it gets like real weird in a lot of ways. There's so many good ones.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things in general. But we're not here to talk about weird comics. We're here to talk about weird lights in the sky, and we're talking about a beautiful co-fermented coffee today that I'm just so excited to talk about.
Excited about this one.
Yeah, this is kind of the topper. I believe we're ending the club with this one for rightfully so. Like this is the one that we wanted to leave y'all with. Co-fermented coffees have been very important to us around here. They represent this beautiful, innovative and imaginative side of coffee that's really blowing up right now, and I think has such huge potential to kind of push the industry and the culture in this really beautiful direction.
Mm-hmm.
I really am excited to share this coffee. This one is from Elkin Guzman, who is a wonderful producer. We've bought lots of different types of coffees from him, all kinds of different processes. This is a strawberry co-ferment that is just so special. Before we get into the alien UFO stories for the day, we'll kind of talk a little bit about what a co-ferment coffee is and why it's so special to us. So what's your experience with the co-ferments so far? Have you got to try this one in particular? Are you a fan of the ones we've brought in so far?
So I haven't tried this one yet, so I'm really excited.
Awesome.
I heard a lot about it. I just love how it opens. I feel like it opens the door in this, in the coffee industry, to an entire different world.
Absolutely.
It's really cool when you take something and you're like, oh, well, this is what it is. This is it, and this is the farthest we're gonna go. And it's like, no, now we're gonna do this. And it's opening all these doors and literally just co-fermenting, adding other flavors. It's just so incredible, and it opens the door for so much creativity, and I feel like the possibilities are pretty endless now at this point.
Totally. No, I completely agree. All right, so before I respond to that, because I definitely want to, I'm going to grind this coffee. We're doing 55 grams of coffee to 550. I'm sorry. Man, I just got my numbers all mixed up. I'm numerically dyslexic, documented and stuff, so numbers are not great in my brain. We're doing 35 grams of coffee to 555 grams of water. So this is my favorite kind of go-to Chemex brew, and it works so well to start as a starting point of these co-ferment coffees. I found the Chemex kind of brings out those really special notes in a different way than your pour overs as far as the V60 and the Kalita. Those are a little cleaner, and sometimes the high notes shine through a lot more with those. But with the co-ferments, the Chemex almost tames it and makes it so that you can taste the high notes clear because they're not as high, if that makes sense. So
Sure.
we'll grind this real quick. So now this is done. I think what you said about the co-ferments is exactly what I love about them. It's this super new way to look at coffee, and a reminder that coffee can be anything.
It's fun.
It's
It
fun.
doesn't have to be black and white or just
smell that.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yes, no, 100%. There's a million things that coffee can be, and done well. And this is one of those. And I just love creativity and imagination, and when I see producers investing in that side of things, which is what I really do view coffee producing as, this creative.
I'm happy for them.
Yeah, it's so cool. So we got to really talk a lot recently to these producers, Elkin Guzman and Rodrigo Sanchez of Monte Blanco, he's one of the first people we really invested heavily with these co-ferments. And what was really beautiful about the stories that especially Rodrigo was telling is how these coffees don't only represent what I'm saying as far as this innovative, imaginative approach to coffee. They represent a way to essentially save the livelihoods that these producers at origin are trying to preserve, because essentially Rodrigo explained that due to climate change and the new weather patterns, his cherries aren't coming to fruition with the same amount of sugar content, which is a lot of where the flavor of coffee comes from, that he's doing everything the same and getting less in each cherry. So the co-ferments are a way to reintroduce value naturally using things that are essentially found around his farm, and imbuing them into this coffee roasting process or coffee processing.
Creative problem solving.
It's so beautiful, and it's something that like isn't talked about enough as far as these type of new innovations, and how the way that we're going to find our way through everything from global warming and environmental stuff to social change and everything else is creativity. Like, it's what humans are best at. We're makers, we're dreamers, and creativity and the imagination is what we need to invest in to kind of move past all of this and like get to the world we all want to live in, right? So it's beautiful to see that represented in this coffee processing. And that's kind of, I have so much more I could say about that, but we need to talk about some aliens. So I am working currently on doing an interview series with Rodrigo and a few of these other producers to talk more about these ideas and to hear them, allow them or give them a space or whatever you want to say so that they can tell the stories themselves. Because when I heard Rodrigo in person telling me these things, it gave me goosebumps. It made me feel like this is the future, and these things, they're learning so much along the way. Like, the co-ferments aren't the end. Like, the co-ferments are part of it, but they are growing with every batch they do, and they're learning these new things that they can apply to their more standard processed coffees too. So not only are the co-ferments getting better every year, but they're big commercial, or not commercial crops, but they're bigger crops. They're really large, what they sustain themselves off of, that's getting better too, because they're learning things from the co-ferment process that they can then apply to the rest of their coffee crops. And I think that's the type of the kind of side quests you get to go on when you do these big creative projects that you never even know what's going to pop up or what might be the next thing. So yeah, that's kind of where these co-ferments sit in my little story right now, and I think it's the perfect way to end this club. So let's talk about aliens for a minute and bright lights. The bright lights I really wanted to save and use with this strawberry co-ferment, because there's something about these glowing orbs that everybody talks about, and Delaware is rife with them. Again, I used the National UFO Research Center as a reference point, and if you go and scroll through the last 2 or 3 years of accounts, they're either black triangles or glowing orbs. Like, those are there's some other little ones. We've covered some of the different ones the last couple weeks, but the two biggest categories are these glowing orbs and black triangles. So the glowing orbs I love because there's all these ties. Like, when you read the accounts of them, they are everything from glowing orbs floating weirdly through the skies, daytime, nighttime, all different types of weather, right? And then they have ones that are like low to the ground glowing orbs that seem to be almost like leading people places. They're often seen on like the perimeter of a backyard, leading towards like a wilderness area and things like that.
It's a little creepy.
It's a little creepy, and it's reminiscent of Fae culture, or Fae mythology, I should say, which is there's a lot of thinkers in the UFO world that tie the two, that these are similar, if not the same phenomenon, just kind of manifesting and being ingested culturally differently. But there's a lot of lore around the idea that the good folk, or the Fae folk, would lead people off the trails in the woods with little glowing lights or music or other things. So I love that little connection. But I know we touched briefly on an account, I think it was the first video, of you seeing some strange lights in the sky, right?
Yes.
Can you touch on that again? Just to rehash for anybody that missed it in the first video? Because I really love that account, and I think it's very fitting for this week's coffee. And
it's pretty perfect for this. This actually.
Yeah, I guess we should have saved it for this one. But yeah.
So I was just in my backyard. It was probably last summer, and I really haven't seen that many things that I would say are, extraterrestrial or far out. I really don't think I've seen much. But this is like something I don't think I'll ever be able to forget. I was in my backyard. I don't even know what I was doing, but I looked up and I saw a trail of lights in the sky, The weirdest part was that I could not tell like how high they were or how low they were. The speed didn't make sense. Like none of it made sense with like the science and like, you know, physics that I know from being alive on this planet. None of it coincided with what I was seeing with my own eyes. And something about it, like I couldn't look away. And it wasn't like they were perfectly in line either. Or like they were perfectly in line, but not like spatially. Like there was like a kind of a randomness to the spatial differences between the orbs. But there had to be at least like 20, 25 of them in a perfect line, going just like this eerily slow trailing along the sky.
That's wild.
I was like, someone look at
someone
this.
else see this, right? Yeah, no, there's definitely, that's the pretty consistent theme with UFO stuff is that like bright lights and those kind of like, yeah, just breaking the physics or like
it didn't look like a spaceship. Like, of course, my first, or not spaceship, but like it didn't look like
a satellite
or like, you know, anything like that.
Yeah, no, oh, wow, yeah, this is really good. This is very bright. Like, speaking of bright lights, like this has so much of that like bright fruitiness that I love. Like the red fruits, I mean, obviously strawberry is very, very up top there. And it's got that kind of like...
It's got like a butteriness too.
Yes, so the cream, I was just going to say. Yeah. It's got like a strawberries and cream thing.
It's like a buttered biscuit with like strawberry jam on it.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. It also has that like... It's like that artificial strawberry. It's got that like Starburst strawberry, like the red Starburst type thing
in a good
on.
way.
In a good way.
Not in a bad way.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's just
I think it's
that,
like the jammier taste. Like it's not, when you eat a strawberry, there's like that, but then there's like that deep jamminess that I feel like I'm getting from this.
Absolutely. And these co-ferments, like as they cool and change, they have some of the most dramatic flavor changes. Same thing with resting. If like this coffee was roasted not even a week ago and it's tasting really good, but in a week and a half to 2 weeks from now, like it's going to clean up and open up so much. There's going to be so much more strawberry. There's going to be so much more of that like jamminess going on. But there's like a tropical fruit going on in there too. It's like or maybe even a grape. I don't know. It's just like a fruit punch.
I'm getting a tropical something, which is reminding me of some kind of Starburst. I cannot remember which color.
Totally. The tropical style Starburst I'm much less familiar with. But this is amazing. Like I'm really stoked on the way that these coffees are coming out.
I'm excited for you guys to try this.
Yes, and we have a ton of new co-ferments from a bunch of different places coming out this year. They're going to be really special coffees. We're going to be bringing in a lot more of them. We really believe that these type of fun, creative coffees just fit so well with what we do here at Brand New Wine, and yeah, we can't wait to share more of them with y'all. I think that's pretty much what I got here today. Is there anything else you'd like to leave them with as far as UFOs or yummy coffees?
Just keep looking up.
Yeah, that's great message, and thank you so much for being a part of this. Like, it means the world to us. Like, I really can't express how much it means to me to be able to tell these weird stories and have people sign up to, you know, experience them and drink this coffee, and like to be able to do this with friends like Aaron and be able to make this weird little creative coffee community that we've become a part of. Like, I can't think of a better way to spend my time on this giant blue rock. So thank you for allowing us to do this, and we can't wait to share what we have coming up for spooky season. The Halloween Club's going to be extra special this year, so keep an eye out for announcements on that. And yeah, thank you so much. Keep an eye out on this channel as well. We're going to be putting up more brew videos and things like this outside of the club, so yeah, we'll try and get some more fun stuff going on. And that's all I got. All right.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Awesome.
It's Spencer's face.